Hi everybody, welcome to the House Polished Season 7 finale review of Game of Thrones. And this was called The Dragon and the Wolf, so there wasn't that many surprises here for readers, for sure, for book readers and anyone paying close attention this season, and actually since season 1 pretty much. So we are waiting on Lisa to join us. She should be here very, very soon. Hopefully, fingers crossed, she'll be here very soon. So sorry about the delay. We were trying to give her time to get here because we miss her. We don't want to do it without her. So I am going to pass it over to the lovely Clare Gray. And Clare, if you want to give us your polish, your overall impression, maybe a rating if you like.
So I'll go with the polish first. My polish is Caddy Lacquer. I was going to go for a blue at first because there was definite blue theme at the end of the episode, but I've gone for Caddy Lacquer. It is the Game of Thrones collection, and it's the name. Again, I always go for them because of the names. This is a dragon, is not a slave. Is that the same polish that you've chosen?
I put that back and I picked up that.
I honestly thought at one point we would choose the same polish.
So I am convinced. I was so convinced I was going to have the same polish. I was like, I know they have that, so I'm going to put it back.
Well, there is a part in the Dragon Pit where Dany actually says those words in Valerian, and she translates it for Jon: a dragon is not a slave. And then she talks about the dragons being cooped up in the Dragon Pit and how that's how they ended up sort of shriveling away. And they were no more than like the size of cats towards the end. And I just thought, she said those words, a dragon is not a slave. And then we see that end scene where quite clearly Viserion is a slave now. He's a whited dragon, reanimated dragon. And it just made me think, I wonder if he's going to be different. I wonder if he's going to be any different to any of the other. Is he this enchantment from the Night's King to the reanimated corpses? Will he be different? Because when it comes down to it, a dragon is not a slave. So that's my polish, Caddy Lacquer Game of Thrones collection. And we were just talking about this before, but I think I was a bit I was doing a lot of this, scratching my head the first watch, and I just couldn't. Again, I had to just kind of put my book reading experience to one side because it's just so different from what's happening in the books up to the current point that we're aware of, and I just don't see it going anything like that in the books based on the last 2 episodes. So I just find it, there's just something about that makes me think this is just so different. It's like I'm watching a different story. It's just being taken in a completely different direction. However, on the second watch, I enjoyed it a lot more. I got a little bit more from the dialogue. I kind of picked up on a couple of subtle things that have made me think, oh, right, okay. And I've heard there are lots of other fan theories about this as well, so I don't think I'm the only one. And I think you feel the same way as well. There's a couple of things that happened in that episode that are maybe sowing the seeds for what happens next season. I don't know if you know as well, Catherine, there's been apparently, and I this happens all the time, but the script for season 8, the final season, has been leaked, and Tony Teflon did something on his channel where he went through like the first 3 episodes, and I listened to it and just thought it doesn't. I think it's just somebody making it up. I honestly think it's just somebody making it up. There's always that, at the end of the season, you always get somebody saying something like, oh, this has been leaked, and you read it and go, no, it just doesn't. Even for the show, that just doesn't sound right. But I enjoyed it. So yeah, I'm rambling, but I would say I enjoyed it definitely more on the second watch. And it kind of felt comfortable to me in the end that there were only 7 episodes, not 10. I'm not like crying that we're missing out on 3 episodes at all. So I think I was quite happy in the end. I would give it maybe a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, that's yeah. You know, you're making me think I'm being too kind. Can I just say cheers to Florrie? Thank you so much for holding on for us, Florrie. And yes, it's happy hour. Go for it. Like you need my permission, but go for it. It's happy hour. So cheers, Florrie. It's bad luck. Sláinte. Bad luck to say cheers and sláinte, not drink. So yeah, I'm totally with you. We did talk about this before. And I think I messaged you and Lisa after watching it saying I was a bit meh after watching it. Hi, Anita. And I loved it more on the second and third viewing because I could see more. And I always think the actors are given more behind the scenes than we see anyway. So I think I got more out of it. My polish, because I left back the one you picked, is this one, which is a nice blue for the dragon and all of his blue fire. And it's nothing burns like the cold. And boy, were we right about that. It definitely burns. It definitely burns. So yeah, this is an Illyrian polish, which if anyone was watching my stream for Liquored and Lacquered earlier on, I did mention that I would be doing an Illyrian polish. So there you go. Beautiful polish, by the way, kind of a full coverage glitter, so it's beautiful. I already told you, and I'm not going to rant about it, Claire, I promise, but I definitely knocked off a point for John Sand. I will talk a little bit about it later on, but I promise I won't rant. But the show is definitely not the books. It really irks me when people are they're too extreme, and it's very hard to get a very middle of the road review of it. And I think that's why House Polished is here, because I think people are either like totally negative or totally positive, and you don't get a nice nuanced review of the show. And I prefer nuance. It's still the best show on television. They're like hands down, it's still the best show on television because if for nothing else, the graphics are incredible. The actors have all grown, in my opinion. And I know a lot of people talked about this, but the costumes in this episode in particular were phenomenal. Everybody's talking about Cersei's dress, but go back and look at what Jorah is wearing. Go back and look at what like Brienne is wearing. Like everybody looks incredible in this episode. Go back and look at Jaime disguised as like just a normal kind of traveling, I guess, knight or whatever, hedge knight or something at the end. Everything is beautiful. The costumes are beautiful. That's why we watch Game of Thrones. Part of why we watch Game of Thrones. They do that better than anyone. But there were some errors. John Sand was a big error. He would never have been John Sand. He would have been John Waters. And anyway, so for that, I'm going to give it, I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10. So I think I only gave 1 10 this season. I think we all gave 10 to Spoils of War, right? So yeah, that's the one. Yeah. 8.5. So I thought we'd go. Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, Kat. I just wanted to say hello to Anita and Florrie. And Florrie, I don't know if you remember, months ago I was unboxing a glossy box, and there was a blue, or it was maybe I picked it up from TK Maxx, but there was a blue eyeshadow that I picked up, and I was saying I've never worn a blue eyeshadow before. Because I've got brown eyes, I usually tend to wear neutral shades. And Florrie was saying to me, who's another brown-eyed girl, no, do it. Wear a blue eyeshadow. So I'm actually wearing, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I'm wearing a blue eyeshadow kind of in the middle here, Florrie. And I really like it. I don't know if I've blended it that well. But and I don't know if you can, so it's kind of, I know there's a little bit of purple as well at the sides. But anyway, I just wanted to say, Florrie, yes, you were absolutely right. I should get out of my comfort zone a little bit more. And I really liked wearing blue, and you know, goes with the blue theme of the episode as well.
And can we officially anoint Florrie as our like MVP, like our most valuable person / player in the chat, because she's been here I think for every episode. We love you,
Yeah.
Florrie. We love you a lot. So
Mwah.
okay, so I thought we'd go King's Landing. I should have said this to you before we started. King's Landing, Dragonstone, Winterfell, and the Wall.
Okay.
The one thing I do like about the show now is that we're narrowing down on the locations. It's easier to keep track of.
Yes.
So yeah, so King's Landing, lots to talk about. So we opened with the Jamie Bronn prepping for the battle. What do you think from there? What did you think of that?
Well, the first thing, and I've said a lot of this in another podcast that I did earlier this week, but Grey Worm looked quite fit and healthy, like he'd not missed any meals or he'd not been starved in a castle holed up, garrisoned in Casterly Rock. So that was, it was kind of nice to, I just felt as though there's been lots of leaps in the story. And I thought that our discussion about Dany being betrayed by Missandei because of Grey Worm would have been much better. I mean, if we're going to do fan fiction, I think we should have done our fan fiction.
Yeah.
I think there could have been more to that. I think, you know, maybe Dany could have been betrayed by more than one person, you know, the three heads of the sheep kind of thing. But yeah, there he was, looking wonderful and determined, and, you know, and then you see all the Dothraki screamers. The only thing really that I got from that opening scene, apart from the visuals and the fact that there's a lot, she's got, you know, she was, like we said last week, I think, about the trailer for this week, those visuals of she's definitely showing her strength. And the first part of this episode was really kind of queen versus queen. A lot of the dynamics, and whether it was subtle or whether it was outright, you know, that, and I think of the two of them, Daenerys probably came out better than Cersei did, just holding a composure rather than, you know, Cersei seething as usual. But before we get into that, and before we talk about the arrival of everybody else, the conversation between Jaime and Bronn, when they were talking about the Unsullied and the purpose of fight, you know, what do they fight for? What's the purpose of fighting? If it's not for gold, etc., etc., and like, what's, you know, what are we doing all of this for? And I thought that was, I think the way that Jaime was handled this episode was he kind of redeemed himself for me in terms of the season. I think Jaime's been very weak. He's not, you know, and I just wanted to scream at the screen, just wake up, Jaime, just see what's happening, see what's going on. Going right back to that first episode of her saying Tommen betrayed us. I'm surprised he didn't slap her across the face. He's just been very lacking for me this season, but this episode in particular, you can see right from the very first opening scene with Bronn and Jaime that it's all about, what are you fighting for? What is the purpose of this fight? Who are you fighting for? Who is on the right side here? What is it all about, and what's my place in it? And that conversation kind of started about the purpose of fighting, the you know, what is it for, what do we do this for, when they were referring to the Unsullied. But I think it also reflects Jaime's inner struggles with his relationship with Cersei, the fact that she's saying that, you know, there's this this Lannister dynasty, we don't know whether she's pregnant or not. It doesn't look like she is, or at least it doesn't look like she's going to carry to full term. Not
at the rate they're going.
Right to the end of the episode, which was the complete turnaround, and you could see the moment on Jaime's face, the expression on his face, where he just thought, you're a crazy bitch. and I'm done with you. But I thought his acting was great. I thought, again, Lena Headey was fabulous. And yeah, it was just, he had a stronger than the rest of the episodes this season. So I was quite pleased with how things turned out with Jamie. But yeah, that's kind of how it started, was that conversation with Bronn about what are we doing? What is this for? What do they fight for? What are we fighting for? You know, that started his inner dialogue.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it does come full circle at the end when he leaves, because he has to leave. He can't stay. I think this is a very nice episode to have the Lannisters redeem themselves as characters. Cersei started out this season, I think I referred to her a little bit as a cartoon character. She was amazing this episode, like just amazing. But Jamie and Tyrion, we have criticized them, their characters, I think, the whole way through this season. They've been quite weak, and this is definitely the episode that sees them come out. And for me, I love the Dothraki, so seeing those screamers come in through the Unsullied, yeah, how did they get there? What's happening with Casterly Rock? What's the point in Grey Worm? I was going to say he's like a sprayer prick, but that doesn't really make sense with Grey Worm. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. But you kind of have to, there's 6 episodes left. So yeah. So yeah, I don't have much to add. You said everything that I would have said there about that. I think the only other scene after this is just Cersei giving the Mountain orders as who to kill first.
Yeah.
And just the look that Jamie has. I think he still thinks he can influence her. Or do something. I don't know. I still don't understand. Yeah, I still don't understand that point. Did you have anything to say about that scene, or do you want to move straight on to walking towards the dragon pit and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, that was that. Yeah, I haven't really got anything to say about that, apart from, you know, she gave him clear directions about what to do in the event of, you know, if things start going west, then kill these people in this order. And he was there later on in the interaction between Tyrion, and he was also there in the interaction with Jamie. And it just makes me wonder, I wonder if she had those separate conversations with the Mountain.
Yeah.
You know, off screen. I'm going to be threatening my younger brother pretty seriously. But whatever I say and whatever I do, I don't want you to kill him. You know, be threatening and be menacing, but don't, you know, I think she might have had some other conversations with the Mountain about other people, not just Daenerys. But the arrival of everybody in King's Landing, I think this is the bit where when I watched it the first time, I think I was just so like, this is just really implausible. I don't quite understand why this is happening. This is all to do with this plan to show Cersei a white. She's already got like an undead,
yeah,
as part of her employ, you know, so that's not going to be anything that's going to surprise her too much, although it did, you know, and I thought that was brilliant. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah. I think the whole, everyone arriving and turning up and interacting with each other. So you get Brienne and the Hound, you get Tyrion talking to Pod, their kind of quick reunion. You get Tyrion talking to Bronn. Obviously, he met up with him not to, you know, fairly recently to have that secret meeting with Jamie. But I think the thing that my favourite interaction out of all of them was the Hound and Brienne, when she kind of held back, and they were walking together at one point, and you could see, and I've watched as well the like inside the episode, the actress who plays Brienne was saying I think she was just delighted to see him, that he wasn't dead. I think she was shocked and happy that he hadn't died. But just that, the interaction between them and the conversation about the Stark girls, and just that understanding between them that whatever's happened in the past, we're now on the same side, right? Yeah, we're okay. We're okay with each other. We're on the same side, and I like that. And I know a lot of people ship Brienne and the Hound. I don't quite understand.
Brienne and the Hound.
Yeah, yeah.
What?
Yeah, because they're both tough and they're both protectors and they're both, you know, and it's just, I can't see it, to be honest.
Those people need to get some Mills and Boom in their life and just get on
Yeah.
with it. That's not happening.
But I thought it was nice that there was that acknowledgement that we're both on the same side. We're both about protecting the Stark girls. You know, from him, it was a kind of moral obligation. Whereas with Brienne, it was a vow. You know, but whatever, they were both on the same side. But yeah, it was just, I'm guessing that the way I think about this, and this is the last 2 episodes for me, jumbled up as an amalgam, is that at some point at the beginning of the writing process for this season, somebody said, right, this is how we want the final scene to be. We need the wall to come down. We need to have the army of the dead heading north through the wall.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi,
Sorry,
Lisa.
Claire. Sorry for interrupting you, Claire. I got very excited.
Hello. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
Sorry, Claire, you were saying about getting the wall. Yeah, they have to reach certain points. Yeah.
I think that, and they just work backwards from that. It was like, we want to see the wall needs to come down. How does that happen? A dragon needs to do it, right? How do we get a dragon there? We need to, and I think they kind of worked backwards and that's how they came up with the plot. Working backwards to, well, we need to get everybody up north. We need to, because I do believe that the Night's King engineered all of that to get the dragon. So he, via Bran, sent that, you know, we talked about this last week. He basically made that group go north so that he could get hold of the dragon. Otherwise, why would he have had the chains there ready? I think it was all a big plan. And I think that again is part of the writing process. I'm convinced is right. This is what we want for the final scene. How do we work back from that? Because they haven't got the source material, and that's why I've always thought that the plot to get a White to King's Landing just doesn't seem to make sense. It's the thing. It's a very weak thing that's there, that hangs lots of other different stories onto it to get to progress the story to where they got to at the end of the season. But when I watched it again on the second watch, I enjoyed that a little bit more. It still did seem a little bit implausible that you've got Daenerys and Cersei sat right opposite each other, and just knowing what people's characters are like and impulses, I'm surprised that more didn't kick off in that. I just Sandor walking straight over to the mountain and not being stopped when they arrived, and being able to kind of have that face off with his brother, which was obviously, you know, a preview for next season where we're going to actually get Clegane Bowl. But yeah, there was a few things that happened in that scene that maybe, I mean, I was saying to Stuart, why didn't Cersei just blow the place up before Daenerys arrived on the dragon? Why didn't she just take out everyone in Daenerys, you know, on Daenerys' side, like in her force, her most important people and her support and her small council, basically? Why didn't she just blow up the dragon pit with wildfire like she did the Sept? And it's like, well, that wouldn't have worked. I don't know. There's just I just kind of keep going back and forward on I think that could have gone differently, and some parts of that were quite weak until the second rewatch, and then I started seeing things being a little bit weird with Tyrion, which kind of made a bit, because what you got was Cersei saying, "Yeah, truce," immediately, straight away. Wow, fantastic. And then no truce. Then, okay, we're going to have a truce, but not really. You know, it's that sort of like, that all seemed confusing until I really paid more attention to that interaction between the Lannister siblings. The first interaction with Tyrion and then the second interaction with Jaime were very kind of, because I on both occasions I was like, oh my God, are we going to get like the Valonqar prophecy here? Is it going to be? And this isn't just for show watchers. We'd never got that far in the Maggie the Frog prophecy, when way back in a couple of seasons back, and if you remember this, Lisa, where Cersei as a little girl and a friend went out into the woods, and they came across the woods witch who said, you'll marry the king and you'll have however many children and blah blah blah. Well, there was, in the books, there's a lot more to that prophecy, and part of that, I think we've mentioned this before, is this Valonqar prophecy where the witch actually says how Cersei will die, which basically translates to the little brother will put his hand around your throat and squeeze the life out of you. But we didn't get that in the show. But even that, again, this is me mixing up the books and the show, but watching those scenes, I did think, oh my God, we're going to get like a Valonqar thing happening here, and we're going to get like one of the brothers putting the hands round Cersei's throat. But then, of course, that didn't happen because you got the mountain there and what have you. But there was kind of like Valonqar-esque vibes going on there for me on both of those interactions with Jaime and with Tyrion. But yeah, anyway, I'll stop for now because I could go on about this for hours.
Yeah, I think maybe we should leave the Tyrion Cersei, because I really want to hear more of your ideas on that. I am going to take a very, very quick pee break. Sorry, I shouldn't share that on the internet, but I am. Lisa, do you want to give us your overall impression and polish? Because we're not that far into our review, so, and I'm sure everybody wants to know what your overall impression is, and I'm so glad you're here, and your rating as well. And I will be back in 2 seconds.
I forgot to grab my polish, but that's okay. I was gonna grab A Dragon Is Not a Slave by Cadillacer, because did you guys get that too? That's hilarious. That's funny. That's what I was gonna grab, but I didn't have time to grab it when I got home. So my rating, I think I'm gonna give it a 7. Yeah. It wasn't my favorite episode. It wasn't, my least favorite episode. There were just a lot of questions that I still have, and a lot of things just didn't seem to make sense.
Yeah.
How the heck did the Unsullied get there?
Yeah.
How the heck did that happen?
Yeah.
Like, click our fingers and get there. Yeah. Like it just didn't make any sense. It was confusing for me.
Definitely asked to kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit and kind of take a leap of imagination to see. I mean, it was nice to see Grey Worm right at the very beginning. It's great that he's alive, but how did that happen?
Exactly. Like last we saw, they were stuck at Castle Rock pretty much starving to death because they didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So how the heck did they get from there to there? There's like no explanation. And I enjoyed the episode overall. It was a decent episode. Like I got to see things that I was hoping to see, but overall, it wasn't my favorite episode.
Yeah, I keep going backwards and forwards on a lot of it.
The same way.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those episodes that you need to watch a couple of times. I think.
Sorry, I also grabbed wine.
Oh, great. I think maybe because I was expecting a lot more from Beyond the Wall, that kind of left me lacking a little bit. That I was expecting a lot more, because what I was expecting to see in the final episode, and we talked about this separate, oh God, this is going to be like a 3-hour episode to cover everything that we want to see in the finale. And of course, that's never going to happen. So there's going to be big chunks where you're expected to kind of like just imagine this has happened and imagine that's happened. I believe there was a deleted scene. I know we're going to talk about this later, but Winterfell, which kind of, where I think it was like Sansa knocking on the door to having a conversation with Bran, but they took that as, so that would have made more sense. Like, oh right, okay, that was going on behind the scenes. Da, 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 da. But the reason that they didn't put that in was because they wanted to have that big shocking moment without the viewer already knowing that that was the case. So it was a big reveal for everybody. But yeah, so I thought it was interesting though that there was a deleted scene.
Yeah, can I just say on that as well? I think that is a big problem. We talked about this with the very, very first episode, how I had wished they had flipped the Daenerys arriving with the Frey murders. And I feel like with this episode as well, they probably shouldn't have shown us the White being resurrected in the last episode. I think it would have been much better, or sorry, the dragon being resurrected. I think it would have been much better if we'd just seen the dragon for the first time this episode. And then we'd be like, oh my God. And also we wouldn't have had all that chain nonsense, all those chain arguments. But okay, so Lisa, did you give your thoughts on King's Landing? Sorry, I peed and grabbed wine because I'm
That's okay. That's okay. I'm drinking some beer.
Cheers.
So okay. I needed it after today. Cheers. I was saying to Claire that the episode confused me. I have a lot of more questions than answers on this one. Really did enjoy within the first kind of scene within King's Landing was seeing Cersei scared shitless. That was my favorite part of the whole thing.
Well, yeah, and just
seeing
on
that, the look of fear on her face, it was very satisfying. That was my favorite part of the whole episode was just.
Yeah, and just going on what Claire was saying about the white, like I put an extra H in there. Would you be more scared of the white or more scared of the dragon? Like for me, okay, I know they know dragons exist, but nobody has ever seen a dragon. And well, Jaime has, but Cersei hasn't. And it's just like, okay, in fairness, that white was amazing. The graphics, the way he kicked over the box, the tension in the episode was great anyway. But I was just like, I would be pissing myself at the dragon cave. Like that was brilliant, the way she climbed down. But what I loved about just to roll back on the Hound and all them arriving, I am still on my tinfoil theory. And actually, I think the Hound might have almost confirmed it here with Brienne. I still think Arya is going to take the Hound's face and Arya is going to be the one to kill the Mountain. I'm still on that because she says to him, I thought you were dead. And he says, not yet. And then when he goes to the Mountain, or he says, Brienne says to him, or when he says to Brienne, who's protecting her now? And she says she doesn't need protecting, or the only people needing protecting are the people who get in her way. And he says, that won't be me. And then later on, when he walks up to the Mountain, he says, you know who's coming for you. He doesn't say, I'm coming for you. He says, you know who's coming for you. And I feel like the Hound is not vengeful anymore. I think he doesn't have that anymore. I think between his experience with the Quiet Isle, I don't know what they called it in the show. It was the Quiet Isle they called it in the show.
Yeah.
And the Brotherhood without Banners, especially when he got that, he wanted vengeance, and they would only give him 2 of the rogue BWB. I think after his visions, that vengeance is gone. But he has such a love for Arya. He knows that vengeance is all she has. I think he would give that to her. I think he would give her.
Does he know does Sandor know who is on? Does he know about Arya's list?
Yes, he does.
Oh, well then, yeah,
he does. Also, they have removed the Valancourt prophecy from the show. There's every chance that that's the last time Cersei and Jaime will ever see each other in the show.
Yes.
They may never give that to us. They may, if they do the Clegane Bowl, which it still will be Clegane Bowl, but it'll be an Arya reveal, I think, or it's more fan fiction probably. But I just think that it will be very nice if it's Arya that kills Cersei, because that still fits the little sibling Valancourt thing.
And she said at the beginning of this season, when she said to those Lannister soldiers when Ed Sheeran was there, that she's there to kill the Queen, like ha ha ha, and it's like, yeah, but she's serious about that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, I think that I have had that theory for a while. I think it's true. I'm sure loads of people have had that theory as well. I'm not trying to win any theory competitions here, but no, I just when he says that's the Mountain, who's coming for you. The other thing I have with the Mountain and Cersei and her whites, none of the soldiers, none of her Kingsguard flinched. Are they all whites? Who's left in her Kingsguard? None of them flinched. If Qyburn whited the Mountain, what's to say he hasn't whited other soldiers? I'm kind of, none of them moved. When the dragon arrived, when the white arrived, none of them moved to protect her. I'm kind of thinking they're all whites. I think that's going to be a big reveal, because the whole Euron walking off and this whole plan that she has with Euron, that was all like a plan that he walks off and goes and gets the Golden Company. They were expecting the whites. They were expecting dragons. But I'm still hopeful that Game of Thrones that there's still going to be the cloak and dagger stuff that we love about Game of Thrones. And that would be a really good twist if she already has her own version of whites. Now, Qyburn seemed very interested in the white, but I found it quite interesting that none of her soldiers stood in front of her. None of them flinched. Just a bit strange.
Well, what you're saying also plays into when she said, when John was saying, look at this here is how all of King's Landing is going to end up if, this is the consequence. And she said something like, well, it'd probably be an improvement.
Yes, exactly. And I also found it quite interesting as they were arriving that all Cersei and her entourage look like Targaryens. They're all in black. They look really dark. I have always liked the idea that Cersei and Jaime are Targaryens, not Tyrion. I've never liked the Tyrion as Targaryen theory, but I kind of like the Cersei and Jaime are Targ theories better. However, I just think they're all Lannisters at this stage. I think we're never going to get that in the show. Even if it happens in the book, I don't think that's going to happen in the show. But she even had this like weird kind of spine or something going down her back. Did you notice that on her dress?
It's very reptilian, isn't it? Everything that she's wearing this season. But just going back to what you were saying about her reactions to the dragon as opposed to the white, I think this is just Cersei all over. She's holding everything in. There was a lot of eye acting going on when they got into the pit. All these kind of like side glances and things towards each other. And the look she gave Tyrion of this just seething resentment that only Lena Headey manages to be able to pull off to such an extent. And she couldn't wait to be the first one to kind of just poke the bear a little bit with Daenerys, with like, we've been waiting, and it's just like Daenerys could just say, are you fucking kidding me? And just end her there and then, but she'd held herself together and there was a fair amount of composure. She was looking to Tyrion and Tyrion was like, yeah, well done, So all of that kind of eye acting going on between them. And I think that she was terrified. She probably shit herself when she saw the dragon, but she's so stubborn and bitter and twisted that she never would have revealed her reaction, because that's her dropping. That's the in terms of the that's all of these scenes, the beginning of the episode being about queen versus queen and Daenerys versus Cersei, and just the you know, the power of will and the just holding the kind of gravitas, each of them individually. I mean, Daenerys even referred to King's Landing as your city. So yes, she's lost a dragon, and this is her, you know, I'm not coming here to do all of this for nothing. So I'm going to really, like, you know, hold it all in. But Cersei was probably, I can imagine her being absolutely terrified inside, but she was just none of that. She wouldn't have betrayed any of that in her expression or her facial features. She was holding it together, but she couldn't do that when the White came at her, because it was an immediate physical threat. Whereas
well, also she has is it the Scorpion? Like, she already has trust in Qyburn's weapon, right?
Yeah. Drogon looked massive as well compared to the space that was in the dragon pit.
So good. So good. I loved that scene. I have to say, I loved the dragon pit. As I said, absolutely adored the costuming. It was brilliant. It was just brilliant to have all these people in one place. I do agree that it's a bit farcical, the plan to go get a White. I think if something like that was to happen in the books, I'm sorry to go into the book thing, but maybe they accidentally capture a White. That's what I'm thinking. And then they can bring it south. But I definitely think she has to see a White. She has to see a White, because there's no way she can't. The thing you were saying earlier on about Dany being more regal as well. Like, I mean, you have to remind, like, Cersei wasn't born to be a queen. She wasn't raised to be a queen, really. She has been a queen, but she was raised to serve a king, you know, whereas Dany, you know, she was raised to be a queen pretty much because she would have married her brother. So I guess she could, there's more of an argument there that Dany could always have had it in the back of her head, or she was much younger when that idea was planted in her head. She was like 14, I think. Yeah. When Viserys dies in the books. Can I ask a question here? And like what you said, Lisa, this episode threw up more questions than answers. What's the point of Varys anymore? What is the point of Varys? I feel this depresses me, because I love Connell Hill. I absolutely love him. He's wasted. He's absolutely wasted. My other question is, are we ever going to see Bronn again? We know that the actors, Jerome, what's his face, and Lena Headey can't be in the same zone. They can't even be around one another. I think it's in her contract or his contract. It's in one of their contracts. They're not allowed to be around each other. I think it's hers.
Yeah, she did. I mean, the last time that they were, I know
they were engaged before, wasn't it?
Yeah,
were they engaged or something?
I had no idea. Is this why they're not wanting to be together?
Never together. Yeah,
I've noticed that.
Yeah,
I've noticed that.
Yeah, they've never been in a scene together. They never will. So if that could be, that very well could be the last time we ever see Bronn. It's not a bad way for him to go out, by the way. You know, let's go for a drink. That's kind of a good way for Bronn to go out. But unless he follows Jaime, he can't have a scene with her anymore. So I don't know what's going to happen. What do you think?
I think he's going to turn up wherever Jaime is next season. I think he will end up following Jaime implausibly.
Okay. I hope so, because I'm not. I hope so too. Listen, there's so many spare characters. As I said, I don't want him to go down a Varys route. That's a worse way for a character to go. Nothing.
See, Varys might come into play a lot more next season when we see the Golden Company.
Maybe. But definitely the Fagon storyline being removed has hurt his character.
Yeah.
For sure. But also not having Littlefinger to bounce off of. He's no one really to bounce off of. no one that it matches him equally in terms of conspiracy. Was there anything else I was going to say there? Yeah, just maybe yeah, I don't know if you want to get into the Tyrion Cersei thing. Lisa, do you have anything else you wanted to add to the Dragon Pit? How's that corona going down?
Pretty good.
Good. You need it.
I do after today. I just hope it isn't the last we see of Bronn, because I really do like his character. I know he's more of a comic relief kind of a character, but I do like him.
Yeah, no, I do too.
I really do like him. I like him and Jaime together. I like him and Tyrion together. Just have good chemistry together. So I really do hope that he follows Jaime.
Actually, while we're on Bronn, where do you stand? Oh shoot! I just realized I forgot to. Oh damn it! I had this whole thing pre-recorded where I sang "The Rains of Castamere" as a promo for this, and I completely forgot to post it.
Oh
no! Doesn't matter. I even painted my nails and everything to do a coat of gold and a coat of red. That's why I had that manicure. Such an idiot. Anyway, so the theory that Bronn is a rain has poked its head a lot in the last couple of weeks. Where do you guys stand on that?
Yeah, I heard about this when I did the podcast on Thursday night. That Bronn might be a rain, which but I like the idea of that. I think that would be quite interesting, because he just seems like quite a random character that's kind of popped up from nowhere. So of course the Rains were the family that Tywin wiped out, like root and branch. There are no more Rains left. That's what the Rains of Castamere is about. But maybe there is one, and maybe it's Bronn. And when I was doing my podcast the other night, it was DJ who said that it was interesting that at the very beginning, when Bronn said, I love being called, I'll never get tired of being called a lord or my lord. And DJ was saying maybe that's because he's been called it before, like when he was younger. And, you know, he never gets bored of thinking that he's going to be called Lord again. But I don't know about that. I'm not sure about it. I don't know if that would work for the show. Books, I'm not sure, because he's much more of a throwaway character, I think, in the books. But in the show, it might be something that they just throw in as justification for him being around for so long, because as much as he's great on the show and he's good like comic relief and things, as a character he could have, same as Tormund for me, they could have both vanished seasons ago and it wouldn't have made a great deal of difference to the rest of the story. But why would he be so friendly with Tyrion and Jaime? What would his motivation be if he was a Rain, apart from just to, I don't know, blackmail them or something, or try
I don't know. That's where nobody is offered a decent.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. I don't know.
He's had plenty of opportunity to kill both, right?
Mm.
The only thing that I've heard is that he is the one.
Oh, you're frozen, Catherine. Hello. I don't know what's happened. I think she probably needs to. Oh, you there?
Yes. Can you hear me? Did I freeze?
You're frozen.
Yes, okay. Sorry. I was just saying that the only thing I've heard is that he introduced Tyrion to Shay, so he may have known that Shay was Tywin's mistress. So that would have been a way of definitely or potentially taking out Tywin. I don't know. How could you be around them for so long? I don't know. I if that was the case, I don't think they would have cast Bronn, or they would have recast Bronn because of the whole Lena Headey thing. There's no way they could have kept those two characters apart. He needs to have interactions with Cersei for him to be a Rain. So I don't think that works.
I honestly think the only reason he's still around is because he's just very popular with the fandom.
Yeah, and he's gone out of the books. I don't think I wouldn't be surprised if we never see him again in the books, to be honest.
Yeah, he's already got his castle and his wife, and he's already had a child that he's named Tyrion.
Yeah, totally. Okay, I did my promo anyway because bloody hell, it took me 8 times to get it right. Okay, so I am really interested in hearing the Tyrion. Can I just say as well, one more thing? Emilia Clarke upped her game a lot in this episode. I think actors do improve when they're around good actors. Her being around Lena Headey is obviously a good thing, and Peter Dinklage. And I think when John says he can't serve 2 queens, her like, for fuck's sake, John face is amazing. So it's like, Jesus, I love it. I love that face. So yeah, so Claire, I am dying to hear your Tyrion Cersei take.
Well, the interesting thing about Tyrion is first of all, set this against the backdrop of he's made lots of mistakes. He's not been the best, hand of the queen this season. And in fact, Dany's pulled him up publicly a couple of times and said, this is your fault. This went wrong because of you, because of your decision. You made the wrong choice. We've lost Dawn, we've lost Highgarden because of you. This just, it's almost like you're trying to undermine me because, lo and behold, the other side is your family. So where do your loyalties lie? So that's kind of been there anyway throughout this season. I think if you think about it on the surface, Cersei ever seeing Tyrion again when she's had people out like bounty hunters looking for him to bring the head of a dwarf back. And he said before he went into the room that, he had the conversation with Jaime, and it's like, well, should we say goodbye now? And he described her as the most murderous woman in Westeros. So, everybody was expecting something serious is going to happen here. Most of all, Tyrion, it seemed. And then you get this scene where you don't get to see the end of it. You don't get to see the resolution of this scene. What you get at the very end is her kind of, these gestures where she's patting her stomach, and seems very interested in this idea that she's pregnant. He also she says twice that she doesn't want to hear how he feels about the children, and he persists and says, no, you need to know that I loved those children and I would never have done anything to hurt them. He also says quite clearly in that scene, I don't want to betray our family. He comes straight out and says it to her. And I just think, in reality, Cersei would have killed him straight away just for daring to be there with, what did she describe Daenerys as? Foreign scum. So she hates him, and she would have had no problems. She blames him for, as Tyrion pointed out, he went through the whole thing. You blame me for mother dying, for father dying, all of these things, just do it, kill me. So he was pushing her, but I think the crucial bit was when he came out and said, I don't want to betray our family. Oh, Stuart's saying that he said he didn't say that. He said, I don't want to destroy our family. But either way, he said to her, I don't want to harm our family, and which kind of sounded as though to me it sounded to me like he was betraying Dany. And I'm struggling to explain this now, but I think the children are very important to Tyrion. And as soon as he found out that Cersei was pregnant, that was his. Things change now. There is the potential for the Lannister. There's two Lisas again. There is the potential for the Lannister name to continue, and I think he is a little bit like his father in that respect. Hello, hi. So I think that this is what's happened. I think that's the only thing that would have. So he's said to her off screen. We didn't get to hear this, but I think further on from that scene, they had a discussion between them about him basically betraying Daenerys, giving up Daenerys, and him really being on the side. You know, so he's going to be a spy for Cersei, but he's not. It's not because he's on Cersei's side. He still hates her. I think it's because he's on the side of his family, of the Lannisters. And also he knows that Dany thinks he's done a crap job. But then after that, for the rest of the episode, Tyrion's very different. He seems very different right up until the very last scene where he's outside the door. And the obvious thought that we're supposed to have is, oh, he's jealous, he was in love with Daenerys, he's, you know, but I don't think that's the case. I think he's worried because he's thinking, shit, they've joined forces, which makes my job an awful lot more difficult. But yeah, I think that there was that scene in Dragonstone where after they've come back from the dragon pit, I'm skipping ahead here, but this is just specifically about Tyrion. And again, throughout the episode, he's said to other characters, well, I would have said, this is the advice I would have given. You know, if you'd have asked me as the Hand of the Queen, this is what I would have said. He's always got something to say. He's always got something to add. This is what I think we should do. But when they were in the room with the painted table at Dragonstone, back at Dragonstone, and they were talking about how to get up to the north, and sailing on the boat up to the north, all of these kind of logistics about should she fly up there on Drogon, should she get the boat, should she do this, that, and the other, and Daenerys saying, I'm not here to conquer the north, I'm here to save the north. Tyrion didn't say a thing in that scene. Not a thing. He had nothing to advise her on, nothing to contribute. It's kind of like, since that interaction with Cersei in King's Landing, something happened. He's betrayed Daenerys, and I don't know what it is he's going to do, but I think he swapped sides, and he's now thinking about the protection of Cersei's child. And I don't know, maybe he had to promise something to Cersei, who knows, but that's why she came out and said, I've changed my mind, we've got a truce, which of course there isn't, there never was. I don't know if Tyrion knows that to that extent, but yeah, I think that he agreed to betray Dany, and that's what happened when they came out. So that's I didn't explain that very well at all, and it's probably very incoherent and rambling.
No, you explained it. You explained it very well. Lisa, what do you think about this? Because I have quite a lot to say about this, but I want to know what Lisa thinks about this.
I think it's an interesting way of looking at it, because I didn't notice that Tyrion didn't say anything when they got to Dragonstone. I went over my head, but he was so creepy later on.
Tyrion actually doesn't speak again for the entire episode.
You're saying he doesn't, because the very last scene with him is him creeping outside their room, which is really creepy. So yeah, that's a very good way of looking at it. Like, I really had hoped that Tyrion wouldn't be the one to betray her, but it's more and more looking like it's the possibility, which is unfortunate because I really like Tyrion. He's one of my favorite characters. But it was nice to see them in the same scene again together, because we haven't seen them together in so long. I really did think. One other thing, basically, Cersei had the opportunity to kill both of her brothers in this episode, but didn't. The Mountain was there both times, but she didn't kill either brother. So that was the one thing that stuck out in my head, especially just before Jaime left and he walked past the mountain, and then she didn't send him after him. So I don't know.
I think the sense of jeopardy in those situations in all of those Lannister sibling interactions was, you're more worried that Jaime was actually going to...
yeah. Because Tyrion asked first.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no, definitely, yeah. So my take on this is one of my best friends, so I get lots of text message after like everybody sees it on Monday, from home and from around here and stuff, from people just saying, did you see it? Did you see it? And they always want to see what my take is on it, or if I liked it or not, because a few of my friends have read the books, but not everybody, and obviously nobody's obsessed outside of my internet buddies. Nobody's obsessed with it like I am, except for my husband. But one of my students today said, so Tyrion and that pregnancy thing. So yeah, this is a scene that has stuck out to people. I think this is the potential to be the most Game of Thrones moment, where people will look back and go, oh shit, the writing was on the wall there. I'll come back. Wait. Cersei comes closest to killing Jaime for sure. First of all, Tyrion asks for it. I loved seeing Lena and Peter Dinklage back together. They're best friends in real life. They've been best friends since before they did the show. So it's quite ironic that we don't get the Bronn scenes with her, but because her best friend works in the show, we get the most electric scenes from these two when they get to work together. They just know each other. They know the characters. Just, it's so amazing when they get to work together. I do think there's something going on here. The fact that we didn't get the end of the conversation is really important. But just the fact that when he says, you know, I loved the children, and I think I mentioned that before in a couple episodes ago, he did love those kids. He loved them so much. And I think I commented maybe on MP's channel. I can't remember. I wrote this huge comment about Tyrion. I think Tyrion, especially in this season, is being set up as Jon Arryn 2.0. And I think Tyrion is going to be the one to raise this Lannister kid and this new Targ kid side by side. And just the way Arryn bought the Baratheons and Starks together, I think the only way to break the wheel is to bring Lannister and Targs together. I think that's the only way. You can only bring them together in an alliance. And an alliance isn't made in a dragon pit where you're under threat. An alliance is made painfully and steadily over many, many years. And if you fuck up, you're going to end up with a Lord Baelish thing where if you don't look after it, like the Tullys didn't, then that's a problem. But Jon Arryn, he was a great hand, and he was a great adopted foster father, if you like. And I think definitely Tyrion has all the ingredients for that going forward. So I do think Cersei actually loves Tyrion. I think there's a love there for Tyrion. Tyrion is smart. Cersei has moved on from being into aesthetics and into sex and using sex as power. Cersei is emulating herself on Tywin now. Cersei values cleverness. And when she sees Tyrion there and she's talking to Tyrion and she says, you know, you destroyed our family, you left us open. And she's right about that to a certain extent. But I think that's when it dawns on her, feck, Jaime is the one who got my kids killed, not Tyrion. It's only when I alienated Tyrion that all of my children died. So I think it took a while. So Tyrion is the smartest, then Cersei, and then we find out, as Cersei so eloquently puts it to Jaime, you're the stupidest Lannister.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I definitely think the respect for Tyrion, maybe love is a bit too strong, but the respect for Tyrion outweighs her love for Jaime right now. She needs Tyrion more than she needs Jaime. Tyrion cannot trust Dany and Jon. And I think if we were inside Tyrion's head right now, in the position that he's in, we may actually sympathize with Tyrion. How can you trust Dany and Jon? First of all, they have their own little alliance going on. They're not sharing information. Davos kind of, he's lucky to be there, so he probably doesn't expect Jon to share everything with him. But Tyrion knows that as a hand, he needs to be as close to Dany as Qyburn is to Cersei, and he's not getting that. And this is the second or third time in this season that he has found out something after the fact. So when Jon says, I can't serve two queens, Tyrion is like, what the fuck? I didn't know that. Someone needs to tell me these things. So when he goes to talk to Cersei and he sees that she's pregnant, he either already knows that or he's going to use that. Because I will remind you, there's a bit of hope here for people who think that maybe we're going down a dark path here with him siding with Cersei. We also didn't see the end of his conversation with Jaime. So this may be something that he has already figured out with Jaime, or at least there might be a double cross here coming. Like we had the double cross with the Starks, there may be something underhanded going. He may be playing a double game, and his silence might be he doesn't know where he lies anymore. And maybe he's learning that you can't just be mouthy all the time. Maybe he, like, I mean, if I saw those whites, I'd be just like, okay, how do I get out of here? How do I get myself out of here? How do I get my nephew or niece out of here? And you know, I love my nephews. I would definitely, if Cersei was my sister, I would definitely try and work that out. Remember that he tried to talk to Dany about what would happen in the event that she died. She wasn't having any of it. He knows that there has to be a new generation going forward. And I think you're dead right, Claire. I think it could go either way here. He's either hoping for a Jaime redemption, or yeah, there's something not quite right here with Cersei. I also think the biggest moment for Cersei is when he says, I loved those children. You know, somewhere in whatever part of your heart that's left, you know I love those children. I don't think Jaime has ever said that. And that's a big, 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 big red flag for big red flag for her. So yeah, I also liked when Dany and Jon were talking, and she says to him, I appreciate the loyalty, but my dragon didn't die for nothing. And of course, Jon Snow knows nothing. So I just thought that was kind of nice. And also I thought it was a bit hammy, a bit cheesy, the whole thing about, you know, oh, who told you can't have children and all that kind of thing. I thought that was like, if you want to ride her, just ride her. You don't have to ride her because she can have children.
Well, I thought they might look for a cave nearby. Actually,
yeah.
It looked like there were a few nooks and crannies in that dragon pit.
Yeah. Okay. So I also liked how the Euron scene, I forgot to mention, when he stands up and he starts making fun of Theon and Tyrion. This is what gives me hope for Tyrion, even though it would be very, very old school Game of Thrones if he does go with Cersei, and all the evidence for me is that he might. I did like the way Tyrion just kind of, his retort is, Theon, what did I tell you about dwarf jokes? And Theon said his wasn't even that good. And it did show a more united front on the Tyrion, Targ, Stark side than we did on the other side. Even though now we know that Cersei and Euron had this planned, there definitely isn't an alliance there with Jaime and Euron. So there is a weakness in Cersei's alliance, because she doesn't have, despite the fact that Theon and Tyrion don't like each other, they respect each other enough to get on with it. And I think that kind of quipping kind of showed that a little bit. Okay, is there anything else on King's Landing, or can we move on to Dragonstone? I think we kind of already did anyway.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the whole talk about children again. She's gonna get pregnant. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
She's pregnant right now.
Yeah.
So it's just, there's no doubt about it now. They just whacked us over the head with it way too many times.
Not unless they make dragon glass condoms. Nah. I think, yeah, definitely baby is coming. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the small council in Dragonstone. I found that hilarious when they're talking about her going on the dragon to Winterfell, and John is like, no, we should take the boat. And Danny's like, yeah, let's take the boat. Yeah. And my husband just went, bow, chicka, wah, wah. Clearly, they're just all thinking, no, if we go on a dragon, we can't get the ride. We have to get the ride. So, yeah, I did like that. That's the only thing. And Jorah looks concerned, and Tyrion is very quiet and very somber. Yeah. Like, and again, this is where Game of Thrones potentially can be amazing. Game of Thrones, old school Game of Thrones, where we may actually think Tyrion has a point later on, because Jon and Dany are not being fair. I don't think. I think, you know, if they're rulers, they need to share that information. And just because they're falling in love doesn't mean they can alienate everybody. Yeah, and my favorite scene here was Theon and Jon. So they're the two main scenes in Dragonstone. What do you guys want to say about it? Claire, do you want to go first? Oh, hi.
I thought the scene with Theon the scene with Theon was brilliant. I think Alfie Allen has really matured in this role. I know he was a little known actor really at the beginning of the whole season. He hadn't had that much acting experience. And there were a few people that, oh God, here we go, you know, privilege, he's come from this acting family, he's, you know, Lily Allen's little brother, blah, blah, blah. And it was just, I think he's done fantastically in this role. Just everything about, like, even when I was rewatching it and he was talking to Jon in the throne room at Dragonstone, and just the way he was standing, he was kind of like stiff and awkward, and just, but as you would imagine him to be in that not a confrontation, but an interaction with Jon. And there's so many things that are going on there. This is all about the culmination of Theon's character as, how does he do the right thing? He's pulled constantly between being a Greyjoy and being and growing up as a Stark, growing up with Ned as his father, but yet knowing that he's a Greyjoy, and all of the, you know, he talks about this impossible choice that he's had, and Jon kind of just is, you know, he's like, well, just don't be so hard on yourself. There doesn't need to be a choice. You can be a Greyjoy, you can be a Stark. Well, that's, I think, foreshadowing later on, maybe in next season, when Jon finds out about his parentage and he has this dilemma, am I a Targaryen, am I a Stark? And this philosophy of there isn't an impossible choice, you can be both. So I think that kind of plays to what's going to be happening with Jon. But just coming back to Theon, I thought it was just heartbreaking when he was talking about how he wants to do the right thing, but he doesn't quite know how to do the right thing. And, you know, Jon always seems to be the one who did the right thing, and he's doing it now, and he's doing, you know, so there's this like awe of Jon, but also, I suppose, the acknowledgement as well that Jon has been raised from a bastard to King of the North. And, you know, basically he was asking for Jon's forgiveness, and Jon was like, well, you know, I don't need you. I'll forgive you for the things that I can forgive you for, but this is you, it's your destiny, you know, go and rescue your sister. I thought that scene was probably the best acted and the best written scene in probably the last couple of episodes. I just thought it was very poetic. Everything about it was really kind of pulled at me. After, on the beach, again, there was lots of symbolism there, and it was all like, you know, Theon re-emerging, getting rid of reek, that kind of when he splashed his face with water, it was kind of like, you know, the Greyjoy way of kind of rebirth, and, you know, the whole drowning thing, and resurrection in the water. It did just everything about it was kind of like him being reborn and having a purpose and knowing that he wants to save his sister. This is what it's all about now for him. He's doing the right thing. The only thing that I thought was a bit kind of again was that when he was being kicked in the groin, and yes, it was like, you know, we were supposed to sort of go, oh yeah, you know, there are benefits from all the horrible things that you've been through, but it still would have hurt him. It still would have, I mean, he was kicked really quite severely. Even if he didn't have his meat and 2 veg there, it would have been, somebody said he would have been lifted off the ground, you know. And just the fact that he was kind of like, oh, you know, you can't hurt me, there's nothing there. There is you know, there is an upside to being a eunuch. I thought that was a little bit kind of stretched a bit, or it could have, you know, they could have toned that down a little bit. But yeah, I thought it was a great scene, well acted, and you know, go Theon.
Lisa, how did you feel about the Theon scene? Oh, have we lost Lisa? I think she's frozen. Maybe. Okay. Is she there? No.
No, she's not moving.
Okay, so Theon, Lisa's Wi-Fi is acting up. So yeah, Theon, I loved that scene. I agree with you with the groin kick. It was ridiculous. For me, I can't remember Jon ever being more Stark-like or being more regal. I found him very wise. He was a bit beefy looking in that scene as well. I still think there is always that arrogant part of Theon, even in Reek. So it's kind of like that scene with Dany where she climbs down from the throne to meet Jon in the middle. Theon does that as well. He climbs down the steps to meet Jon in the middle, and he's really contrite in that moment. And there is that moment where he just like rolls up his eyes, and definitely we see Theon being reborn in the fight scene. But when Jon says to him that he hasn't lost Ned, Ned will always be part of him, I think that's to remind us that Rhaegar may be Jon's father, but he's not his dad. Ned is his dad, you know. Ned is his dad, you know. It doesn't matter. I think it matters in terms of succession that Rhaegar is his father, but he'll always be Ned Stark's son. Just like Ned will always be part of Theon, and that's okay too. He can be a Greyjoy and a Stark, and as you said, Jon can also be a Targ and a Stark. And I did like that moment of being rebaptized almost, and saying, you know, and okay, the groin thing is ridiculous. However, if you're embracing your Stark side, you can look at it as being, I am getting hurt, but it's not going to defeat me. That maybe I'm reading too much into it. So he's embracing the Stark bit, and he goes over to the water to kind of rebaptize himself with the Greyjoy bit as well. So maybe if you want to, if it helps me, you know, to kind of introduce the poetry into it a little bit more. And I do like when Jon walks off and he says, why are you still talking to me? You know, if you need to go rescue Yara, go away. Why are you still talking to me? I need to go find Dany because we have a boat to catch, basically. So, Lisa, what did you think? Did you have anything to add to the Theon Jon?
I kind of missed what you guys were saying because my Wi-Fi is absolute crap. I kept going in and out there. I did catch what you were saying about Tyrion knowing that he can go both ways. He can be a Greyjoy and he can be a Stark. It goes against the whole nature versus nurture kind of upbringing. He was brought up with Ned, so if he emulates Ned, there's no problem with that. That's how he was raised. Yeah, and I also thought the whole groin scene was a little bit ridiculous. Played into the fan base, like the fan base, I guess, just a little bit. That's all I have.
Meridian is telling me that I'm giving the writers too much credit. I know, but you know. Okay, so then let's get to Winterfell. Here we have 4 scenes, really. We have Littlefinger and Sansa. Then we have the Starks versus Littlefinger. Then we have Arya and Sansa and Bran and Sam. So, Lisa, do you want to take this while your Wi-Fi is still okay?
The first scene with Sansa and Littlefinger, God, he's so creepy. I was at the point there where I'm like, is she falling into his trap? Is she really falling for this? And then when we got to the scene and she just turns and goes, how do you plead to your charges, Lord Baelish? And just the look on his face, I got up out of my seat and I applauded, because I'm like, thank the Lord that this is happening right now, because I was just so worried after last episode with Arya and the Sansa scene to go into this and actually get Peter to get his comeuppance, because he deserved it. My notes actually say bye Baelish underlined 3 times. Hopefully my Wi-Fi hasn't dropped again, has it? Am I good? That's what I have, I think, so far.
Okay, cool. And Claire, what do you have on Winterfell? Were you happier with Arya this episode?
Sorry. First time I watched the episode, the bit where, because it wasn't until she turned around and said Lord Baelish, I was caught up in like, oh my God, like Littlefinger's really got to her and this is going to happen. I was on the edge of my seat, so they definitely built the suspense, but I actually had a tear in my eye when Sansa was reading the charges out, because it was just that sense of like, yes, you know, finally it's coming out. But then when I thought about it afterwards, there was that kind of like, I keep going backwards and forwards on this. I did feel as though a little bit more could have been done with Littlefinger. I felt as though he could have maybe had one last little trick up his sleeve, something. But then when you actually think about it, all of those things that he was saying to Sansa and all of the deviousness and the creepiness and just whatever his plan was, because we never really kind of got to find out. I mean, Sansa kept saying, I know what he wants, but I think there was more to Littlefinger before he ever met Sansa. I think in the first instance, I expected there to be more. I expected him to defend himself a bit more. I expected him to weasel out of it a bit more. I felt as though he crumbled quite easily, and then he just, you know, the demise of Littlefinger was quite swift. The way they did it, and from just building it all up, I thought it was handled quite well. They brought it all out, all the charges. Lisa Aaron, well, he couldn't get out of that one because she was there. That Sansa was an eyewitness, and he admitted it straight away. Yes, I did it, but I did it to save you. And I said in my previous podcast that I was part of that you can just imagine at that point, like Royce's stomach churning over when he hears this. Yes, I did kill the Lady of the Vale, but I did it for you. And then he's got the gall to turn around later on and say, I'm the Lord Protector, get me away from here safely. And it's like, are you kidding me? So you can just imagine what would have been going through everybody's head as they were witnessing this. Then then he starts to try to, like, you know, can we talk about this outside? Can we, you know, you can see that he's attempting to try to defend himself and manipulate the situation a bit, but there's just the crunch for this comes with, you know, never mind the whole anticipate everybody's movements, you know, fight all the battles in your mind, play this game with yourself about, you know, what's the worst that could happen and why is that happening, question everything that everyone does and says. You can't do that with Bran, and Bran was the unknown factor. So, but I've got pluses and kind of, you know, positives and negatives with all of this. I think the negatives are that Bran was woefully underused this entire season, and it just felt as though Bran was being used as like, so can you just check the security camera, Bran, and just, you know, we need some proof on this particular case here about when our father was betrayed, or about who started the war between the Starks and the Lannisters. Can you just go back and check the security footage? And in a way, it's kind of like too easy. But I did like what she said. I did like the charges that she laid out, and that she, you know, how do you plead? Do you deny it? But I do think that Sansa should have, you know, in the words of House Stark, that, you know, whoever passes the sentence should swing the sword. I thought she should have done it. And, you know, I mean, there's an argument that them working together, Arya and Sansa working together, is like, you know, it's kind of like a tag team. So they both kind of did it. But I still think there would have been more satisfaction for me if Sansa would have dragged that dagger across Littlefinger's throat. I think that I'm still not sure whether Arya was in on all of it, or whether she was just in on some of it, or whether it was all revealed to Arya at the same time. That, you know, I don't quite know, because, you know, we didn't get to know. And I don't think the clues leading up to this kind of like mystery, this mini mystery that's going on in Winterfell, were really, I don't know. I can't decide whether I like it or not. Some aspects of it I like.
Yeah.
Some.
Can I just say, Margaret has just mentioned the deleted scenes for the record, because I want to stick with the double cross, and because I don't want to entirely turn off Arya, I'm going to ignore that deleted scene. I want to just kind of, in my mind, leave this season believing that they were planning this all along. Yeah, that's how I feel about it, Margaret. Yeah.
They did cut out a lot of informative stuff. I mean, I understand that they wanted the experience of, you know, being on the edge of your seat and, oh my God, is Sansa really going to kill Arya? Is this what it comes to? And there's this big twist, and, you know, no more leaning against walls and hanging in shadows anymore for Littlefinger. But I don't know. It just feels like there was a little bit. I think more could have been done. I think maybe a bit more could have been stretched out. He could have pleaded more. We could have found out a bit more about his true motivations. I mean, he just said, you know, I loved your mother and I loved you even more. And in the end, he was pathetic. He was just like a little boy. You know, there was nothing left, and it ended up being quite pathetic. But yeah, that's my take on all of that. I mean, just there's a few scenes that go on there, but I think just going back to when she was talking to Littlefinger, when Sansa was talking to Littlefinger, and I think when he was saying to her, you know, assume the worst, and she was playing along with that. I do think, just aside from all of that stuff that was going on with Littlefinger, when they got the letter that Jon was on his way back with Daenerys and he'd bent the knee, I think she was genuinely pissed off about that. I think Sansa was really taken aback by that. And more than a little bit annoyed that that had happened. So I'm sure we're going to be picking up on that in the next season, and there'll be lots of dynamics between that, you know, the kind of siblings and the whole who's a secret targ and who's, you know, whatever. And then later on, when I you know, we finally got the words from Sansa when she said, they were talking about Ned right at the very end of the Winterfell scenes, before we go to the wall. And she talks about, you know, the pack, the lone wolf dies and the pack survives. So we finally got those words. So it was nice to see that they were together at the end and it was family, and they were talking about Ned and how much they missed him. But I think, I don't know, I think we could have maybe had a little bit more background information, as Margaret says. There was too much cut out of that to, I don't know. I can't decide, because I keep thinking I didn't like the way they did Winterfell, and then I changed my mind and think, well, how could they have done it any other way with the time that they had? So maybe they did a good enough job with the time that they had, but some of it I really liked, and some of it I was like, and yeah, like, without repeating myself over and over again, I think Littlefinger death scene could have been a bit more than it was. But yeah, that's it from me on Winterfell.
Okay, I have a better way, and I think I mentioned it last week. I have two better ways. One, Weirwood. Kill him at the Weirwood. Arya shoots him with an arrow from a distance, and Sansa cuts his throat or stabs him in the heart. The Weirwood. I don't know. I like that it was in front of all the Knights of the Vale. So if you're going to do it in front of all the Knights in the Vale, bring Ghost. Where's Ghost? New rule, D&D. You are not allowed to use the word wolf unless you show us a fucking wolf. I'm sick of this. We have not seen Ghost in so long. Elisa's laughing at me. But that's, like, I'm so annoyed. It's really irritating. Ghost should have been in there. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And at the very least, Ghost should have been at the gates to meet Sam. At the very least. I know they cut him. I know they have a deleted scene with Ghost. So it's not like they can't afford to do it. They did it and they didn't put it in. Beyond me. I do like the way Sansa's doing the whole Ned smelling the finger thing. And that's when she says she'll kill anyone who betrays her family. So I'm glad they deleted the scene where Bran has to convince Sansa that Arya isn't her enemy, because, yeah, that would have, I think they would have alienated a fandom. They would have alienated a lot of people by turning them against, or trying to turn them against Arya. I have a couple of questions here. Yeah, I think you guys have covered everything with the Littlefinger thing. I have a couple of questions. Where's Sweet Robin? And will we see him again? And do you think Arya could potentially use Littlefinger's face? Do you think she's going to keep his face? I hope they burn him. Whatever is left of him, I hope they burn him. And with the Arya and Sansa scene, I feel like Arya is a bit like Ned and Sansa's like Cat. And they may not like each other very much, but they trust each other. Just like Ned and Cat when they got married. They weren't in love when they got married, but they trust each other. There's definite loyalty there. And I feel like it was like, Claire, you always talk about mirroring in this series. I think they did a very good job of mirroring so Sansa and Arya don't really like each other, but they're loyal, and they love each other and they're loyal. Whereas Littlefinger, the kind of love Littlefinger has means he's not loyal. And he'll love someone to an extent where he'll betray them just to keep them. And that's not what you do if you really love somebody. And I did like the fact that he lost the battle with the sisters. I thought that really reflected nicely with how he... I think he lost that battle when he pushed Lysa through the moon door, actually. I think he already lost. So that's why I was always with the double cross. I'm going to keep it in my head that it's a double cross. I'm going to ignore the deleted scene. And I hope that's why they took it out. I hope they realized that just it wasn't a good idea to have them turn against each other. I do still think they're trying to crowbar Arya into a family where she is a serial killer, so that's going to be a problem. They're trying to Dexter her. But yeah, my biggest question is, where the hell is Sweet Robin? Are we going to see him again? I'm guessing no. I'm guessing he's gone now because Littlefinger's gone. Where did he go anyway?
Did he go back to the Vale?
They're out of the. You see, so the Vale is the first place you have to leave when winter is coming. So that's why they had to leave the Vale, because if you remember, Sansa made Winterfell in the snow. They were the first to get it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but the last time we saw him, Littlefinger bought him that falcon.
Was a bird or something. Yeah.
So, I don't think we're going to see him again. I think he's going to be off rowing a boat to eat somewhere, a shire or somewhere.
Where Gendry was for 3 seasons.
Yeah, wherever Gendry is now. So
that was one of the questions I had too. I have, where's Robin? ? Like,
yeah,
what, like
where is Robin and where is Gendry? Are they off in the bar with Pod and Bronn? Is that it now? Claire, any?
Well, I was just gonna say, Marco saying that the Vale have the bloody gate, so I think they have to evacuate the Eyrie, but I'm not sure they need to completely.
But but he was in some sort of caravan, was he? No, was he not en route somewhere or travel? Maybe I'm misremembering that. In last season,
he was practicing, wasn't he, with Royce? He was like practice fighting, and wasn't it Littlefinger that turned up again with a bird or something?
Yeah.
So I don't think we're going to see him again, right?
I don't think so.
No.
What does he have to bring to the storyline?
No. Okay, so then we had Bran and Sam, and it seems like Sam is going to be Bran's Google search engine to his internet. Bran is like the internet with no direction, with no Google. So, Lisa, do you want to take this first? What did you think of the Bran Sam scene?
Well, finally, a husband who listens to their wife in the background. He did listen to what Gilly was saying to him, apparently. They're not married, but you know what I mean. I thought it was funny where Bran's like, John's on his way with Dany, and Sam's like, did you see that? And he holds up the piece of paper like, no, I got a raven for that. It was a little bit of comic relief. I thought it was funny. Just the way he held it up. It's like, no. What else was I going to say? It was interesting the way that he immediately said he was a Sand, not, when he knew it was Rhaegar. He obviously knew that he was Rhaegar's son. Did they say? Maybe he didn't overhear that the first time. He immediately went to he was a Sand and not a Targaryen.
Did you hear my rant on that?
No.
That's incorrect.
Yeah.
He should be Waters. So John was never. Sorry, I won't rant. But John.
No, go on.
I want to hear it.
Okay, so John was never born in the north, okay? You're not named after where you're born. You're named after where your father is from, okay?
Okay.
John was called Snow because everybody thought Ned was his father. So he's called Snow because Ned is his father, not because he was born in the north. He wasn't born in the north anyway. Yeah. So he would never have been anything other than Snow, being Ned's son. He would be Waters. If you're born in the Crown Lands, you're Waters. So it really, really irritated me that they got that wrong. And I was saying this to Claire. I had a bit of a rant before we started. I was trying to explain it away as like, oh, this is showing the weakness in Bran's intelligence. Just because he's all seeing doesn't mean he's all knowing.
Yeah.
And it's not, because I got an email today with like loads of new merch that HBO are showing, and they have like John Sand on a t-shirt. So it's a mistake. It's a big mistake. You're not named after where you're born.
Okay, I see. I didn't know that. You guys.
No, and
it's
it's not your fault. It's like obviously it's your fault.
Yeah.
Don't do it again.
No, but I mean, for people who don't read the books and don't know that aspect of it, we would assume that Bran was correct.
But it makes no sense anyway, because even in the show they say Catelyn says Ned brought him home from the war. So if he's named after wherever he's born, he would be named after wherever he was born. Like he would never have been a Snow. Yeah. So it just it's just it really annoyed. Yeah. Sorry, Lisa. Sorry.
Continuity errors, they happen everywhere.
Sorry, I'll shut up now.
Yeah. What else was I gonna say? I thought it was nice how they kind of had the wedding scene over top of Jon and Dany, even though it was kind of creepy as well. Yeah. With them doing their thing. It just makes me wonder what's going to happen when she shows up at Winterfell. One, she's probably going to be pregnant. And two, he finds out he's a Targaryen and he just banged his aunt. How is that going to go over? Like, this was the first episode that I actually watched with my husband, and he was asking questions the whole way along, and I'm like, just listen to what's going on here. Like, just listen to what's going on and what's going to happen in just a minute. You realize he just banged his aunt. Like, how gross is that? So I think I may be getting my husband to watch the last 7 seasons, and when we come into the 8th season, he'll be caught up. Yeah, it was just kind of, it was nice the way that they did it, but it was kind of creepy.
Can I just say about the whole sex scene as well? This is why Game of Thrones, and obviously being an English teacher ruins your head, but at the moment, well, just as he says that Jon is the rightful heir to the Iron Throne, Jon flips the position sexually. Yeah. So he puts her in the missionary position, which I'm sure was done on purpose. I liked it. I have to say, because I kind of, as much as I don't like the graphic sex and needless sex in the day, I miss the sex position that they had from the first couple of series, because that's very real, where people are very honest with each other and very real with each other while they're making love and having sex and stuff. So I kind of liked the idea of him kind of, obviously he didn't intend to do that, but I did like the way they did that.
Putting her in her place.
Yeah,
I'm on top.
And then we got to see Kit's arse, which is even better.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
No CGI there.
Just watch that scene all day long.
That definitely wasn't a double. It was a double in the cave with Ygritte. It wasn't a double there. You're all right.
I was disappointed. I was disappointed when I saw that meme. I'm like, was it not his arse? Because that was one fine looking butt.
You and Longclaw can have a nice weekend.
We're gonna have to let them in on that joke now.
No, let them Google it.
Today, somebody on my Facebook post posted a picture of a dildo that looked like Longclaw.
Yeah.
Oh, we had fun with that one, didn't we?
Well, I want to rename it Longclaw.
Not the actual toy.
Yeah, we didn't have fun with that. No. It's only next day delivery, Lisa.
And I just want to say, Meridian's in the comments saying that she's not bothered about the last name, but she's livid about Aegon.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Aegon in the books.
Well,
is it?
And Lisa said as well, after the episode in our little chat, that didn't Rhaegar already have a son called Aegon?
Unless it's part of the prophecy.
Well, I think I might have an explanation for that. This was Stuart who mentioned this. If you think about it, the person who named the baby, who told Ned what the baby's name was Lyanna. So Lyanna named. Now, there's a number of things here. It could be that they'd already decided, when she was pregnant, what they were going to call the baby, when everything was rosy and they were in the little tower and having the little honeymoon, whatever, the romantic rainbows and bunnies and whatever was going on between them. They could have decided that they want to call him Jaehaerys or whatever, but at the time that she tells him his name is Aegon, knowledge. So this isn't necessarily Rhaegar going, oh, I've totally forgot that I've already got another son called Aegon. I think what's happened is Lyanna was already aware at that time when she gave Ned Jon's name, Aegon, that Rhaegar had already perished at the Trident at that point. So she knew that he was dead. And I'm guessing that she probably also had knowledge that his children with Elia had been murdered as well. So it could be that this was Lyanna's way of paying tribute or something, you know, like you say, maybe it was part of the prophecy. But there could be, there is, that you could stretch things and say that there could be a plausible reason of why she named him Aegon, rather than it being like, hang on a minute, he's already got another son, and why would he, maybe that wasn't the case, and Rhaegar wouldn't have called him Aegon, but he died and the other children died. So maybe this is just, and also there's that thing about Aegon Targaryen was the original conqueror, and you know, in Westeros, and it's kind of like a rebirth of this new power. So it, you know, it could have, that's what could have been in Lyanna's mind at the time when she gave the name. It could have been that she just decided there and then that that's what the baby was going to be called.
Can I just ask, he would be Aegon the Third, yes?
Yes.
So
I think so.
Aegon the Second is Duncan Egg, who burned Summerhall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so unless that's the third head of the dragon, Aegon the Third. So unless there's something in that, I always liked the idea of him being Aemon. I actually always liked that, because just with the link with Aemon at the wall and things like that. Also, my favorite uncle is called Aemon, so you know. I don't know. I saw a meme where it was Ned saying Ned to Lyanna, and she's saying Aegon. He's like, what? Aegon, gone, Aegon, John. Okay, John. So it's just like he's misheard her. Was he called John after John Arryn, by the way? Do we know?
Yes,
I assume he was. Yeah. Okay. He's Meridian saying Aegon the Sixth. Is he really Aegon the Sixth? Oh God, I need to bone up on my Targ history. I'm terrible.
Wasn't Aegon the Unlikely was Aegon, wasn't he? I think he was Aegon the Fourth, I think.
Okay, then I'm hopeless. So I don't know. I'm not sure of it. I don't know. Do you think it'll be Aegon in the books?
Oh no, I don't think anything will be like this in the books.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I don't. I hope not. But okay. The most interesting thing, my takeaway. Well, first of all, I really thought we were getting Harrenhal, but there you go. I thought it was very interesting that Bran. I want Bran to be better, because I love Bran in the books, and I want Bran to be better. I actually was talking to a student today about, he said he doesn't like Bran in the books, and I said I do, and I really, really hoped for Bran to be better in the show. There was a lot of potential for that, but I just don't know. I think they just don't know where to take the story, and that's a big problem. Because you can't really go very far with Bran without really immersing yourself in the whole fantasy thing, and Game of Thrones does shy away a lot from the magical elements to do with Bran, I feel. The most important line from Bran, apart from the R plus L equals J thing, is Robert's rebellion was built on a lie. And we still don't really know whose lie that was. And Secrets of the Citadel did a great video this week on whose lie that was. I've always kind of liked the idea that it's Littlefinger, and even though he was a young guy, he was a young teenager at the time, I've always liked the idea that he kind of manipulated Brandon Stark and manipulated the Starks into thinking Rhaegar kidnapped Lyanna. I always kind of liked that idea, but I think it's built on a number of lies, actually. I think it's the lies people told themselves. I think it's everything from the Starks to Robert to maybe Jon Arryn, potentially Tywin Lannister. Cersei says to Jaime in this episode, you never paid attention to what father said. And I feel like Tywin probably played an important role. I think a lot of people played an important role in the lies that led to Robert's rebellion and the lies that people told themselves afterwards. It also made me wonder, is that's really the end of the Reed storyline? We're never going to see the Reeds now, the Howland, because we don't need Howland, and Mira, we don't need Mira. So
well,
that made me a bit sad.
Might need them next season in the big fight where everyone gets involved.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'd like that. I would like that, but I'm not sure. I don't. They certainly don't have to include them, do they?
Less actors to put in their budget.
Yeah.
I can keep it for the dragons or even Ghost.
Yeah. It is interesting how they showed the limitations of Bran's power, though. I did like that. I thought that was very interesting that Bran doesn't know where to look, and it was a bit hammy, though. You know, Sam comes in and he's instantly okay with Bran having visions and instantly believes and says, "Is that something you can see in a vision?" It's like, wait a minute.
I love Sam.
I love Sam as well, but it's like, how are you already okay with that? That doesn't make, you just came from the Citadel. Like, how are you already okay with that? Anyway, I didn't like the Rhaegar Lyanna thing. I think a lot of people didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And it makes me sad because we don't need to see any more flashbacks now. And that's it, I guess.
It was very neatly laid out for, in case you missed this is exactly what's happening here. But again, this is Bran seeing this, and this is him interpreting what he sees, and like, you know, he already slipped up and he didn't know. He might know things, but he doesn't know everything. He didn't know about the passage that was in the books from apparently the High Septon and the annulment and every, you know, he didn't know that. So if it hadn't have been for Sam, Bran telling Jon about himself would have been inaccurate anyway. So, you know.
Also, Bran is a pretty shit blood raven because he didn't listen. He didn't listen at the Tower of Joy when she said his name is Aegon Targaryen. So why was he still calling him Jon Sand? Like, and then we got that flashback where he heard that. So maybe this is going to lead to Bran being able to defeat the Night's King. I see Bran equals Night's King is taking a lot of traction now as well, like that theory. I'm not totally against that theory, by the way. But yeah, I found the whole thing a bit underwhelming because I knew that was coming, but there was a hell of a lot of viewers that still didn't realize that was going to happen, still didn't realize who Jon's parents were. They still didn't get that it was Rhaegar. So it was still a surprise for a lot of people. So I guess, you know, the show was still spelling it out for those people. But I am interested in how the war got started, how the rumors got started that it was that it wasn't a kidnapping. Why did Rhaegar keep the marriage a secret? How did Ned know that she was at the Tower of Joy? Why was there a Dornish Kingsguard willing to like look after Jon when Rhaegar had completely caused the death of Ilya, basically? I'm still interested in that. I'm still interested in the allegiance to Rhaegar, because they haven't introduced the prophecy in the show unless they intend to as part of Bran's flashback. That they intend to explain why Rhaegar did this. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but there's still a lot of questions. I feel I wouldn't be satisfied with, like, I certainly wouldn't be satisfied, and I don't think Jon would be. Right? Jon isn't going to be satisfied with, what the fuck did he do that for? Like, he just completely plunged the entire continent into 50 years of chaos, basically. Why would I want to own him as a father? And I also don't think Jon is automatically going to step up and say, okay, I'll be king. I don't think he's going to lay claim to that at all.
No. I'm just so I'm just looking in the comments. Marco saying the same thing, really. Jon needs more proof other than visions and the annulment, and that's why he thinks we need Hal and Reed next season. And Meridian's talking about the Night's King, saying that there's no Night's King in the books, which is well, there's reference to the Night's King as a legend, as a tale.
Yeah, but we don't know if he's really.
No, we just get White Walkers and Whites in the books,
and we don't even get White Walkers, really. Like, they're not called White Walkers. We get a description of a White Walker in the very opening prologue, but yeah.
They're called the Others.
The other thing I liked about Secrets of the Citadel's video was she said that we still haven't had an answer to the question why Benjen went to the wall, which is why she proposed that the Starks had something to do with the lie that perpetuated Robert's rebellion, or at least helped contributed to it. I don't know if you seen that video, Claire or Lisa? No. And she said that that, you know, Lyanna was 14, 15 at the time when she ran away with Rhaegar, so they weren't comfortable with her running away with a married prince. So like today, if a young girl ran away with an older married man, the pair, no matter how the young girl felt about that older married man, they would be up in arms about it. And even though Lyanna may have given them reassurances that she was okay and safe, they were up in arms about it. And perhaps Benjen felt guilty about that, and that's why he went to the wall or something. But yeah, we're never going to get that answer, I'd say, in the show, why he went to the wall.
No.
So yeah. So anything else you want to add to this episode? Do we want to do a Q&A or a season 8 predictions video maybe in the next few weeks, or what would you like to do?
I think I might have just had a complete brain fog then. Sorry. Did we talk about the...
Oh, shoot, we didn't talk about the wall. Sorry. No, we didn't.
and also Jaime leaving King's Landing, that final scene.
Nope. I'm terrible at hosting.
The only thing that I want to say there is, again, going back to what I said earlier, this is the culmination in the episode for me with Jaime, where he, at the beginning of the episode, he doesn't know what, you know, they're talking about, they don't know what the purpose of the fighting, who they're fighting for. And by the end, he's saying, I made a promise, and he's very clear about the fight being between the living and the dead. I did think in that scene, just a couple of things that I picked up. First of all, Cersei seemed obsessed with the dragons, like how many dragons there were, why wasn't the third one there, the dragons are vulnerable. I think when the Golden Company come over next season, that's what she's going to be asking them to focus on, is destroying the dragons, the two remaining dragons. I think you're absolutely right, Catherine. They won't see each other again. And just that parting shot when Jaime's leaving and Cersei kind of looks as though she's following him out, and she's walking across the big painted map that she's got. The look on her face when she's kind of looking at, she's watching him walk away, basically. You can see in her face that she knows she's never going to see him again. I think that, again, Lena, is it Lena Headey or Lena Headey? Headey.
I think Headey, yeah.
Yeah.
She also has a wavering hand, as if she doesn't know whether to touch her belly or not. I don't know if you noticed that.
Ah, yeah. I mean, I don't think either she's not pregnant or that's just not coming to fruition. That's the last card she's got to play, really. And again, I thought the scene where he's leaving King's Landing and you start to see the snow coming down, and he covers up, you know, he puts the glove on and he kind of covers up his golden hand. And that's, you know, that's kind of, it's almost like that's the end. He finally woke up. He finally saw what was going on. He finally saw that she's a crazy bitch. He realizes that even to the extent of the living versus the dead, she's still going to be that stubborn that she. But I mean, I think that there's an argument that Cersei will align herself with the Night King in the TV show later on down the line. I think there'll be some, especially I like your idea that the Kingsguard could all be whited. I think she's almost kind of parallels, you know, she's on the same kind of level in a way as the Night's King. But yeah, I just thought that was quite sad in a way. I don't think they're going to see each other again, and that's that for them. The only thing that I would say about the wall, because I'm just sort of going through these two scenes together because I need to nip to the loo, is that again, just going back to Sam and Bran very briefly, we throughout that scene we got to find out that Sam can't tell the future. It is there are limitations, and that his visions are about the past and about the present, so not the future. Then we see Bran through the Raven's eyes at the wall, and this, for me, this is a huge part of the story. In the books, the wall is one of my favorite places. All of the kind of mythology and the magic that is linked to the wall. I always knew that the wall was going to be coming down. I always wondered when that was going to be, how it was going to happen, who brings the wall down. So this was a huge, momentous thing for me. This is a big part of my book reading experience, is the wall. And again, similar to Winterfell, there were aspects that I liked and aspects that I didn't like. I remember I said to you last week, the reanimated dragon, is it going to breathe fire? Is it going to be something different? And I just saw it as the whole symbolism with the dead and this magic that reanimates the dead into these kind of like zombified, you know, humans, animals, whatever, and now a dragon. There is that thing about a dragon is not a slave, so how much control does anybody have over a dragon, living or dead? The flame, I quite liked that. I just saw it as kind of like some sort of plasma, ice magic, electric fire kind of thing. So it didn't surprise me that it was blue. I thought visually it looked wonderful when you could see the blue flash going across the back of the wall when everybody was trying to escape. I think it was a shame that we didn't see more of the Night's Watch rather than it just being focused on Tormund and Beric. I think it would have been nice to have seen Ed. I also think that it would have been, and again, I don't think that this was a possibility, but just the whole, I would have liked to have seen the whole wall come down rather than just a part of it around Eastwatch. But the main objective, I understand, was to bring it down enough for them to be able to get that shot at the end of the army of the dead walking through the wall and heading off into the north, and the aerial shot of the dragon flying above, which gives you that sense of, oh my God, it's going to be at Winterfell in no time. Like, you know, beginning of episode 1, it's going to be flying around Winterfell. with the Night's King on its back, breathing these blue flames. So I can, you know, that's what they were leading up to. That's what they were going for. I think they could have done more, though. I think when Viserion was firing these blue flames out, I think they could have. I would have. I don't know why this is the case for me, but I would have liked to have seen that blue flame tear right the way through with the depth of the wall, so you could see it, and it was kind of flashing through, scorching through the side of the wall, and it was kind of parts of it was. I would have liked to have seen that blue flame go right the way through to the other side of like where Castle Black and, you know, where they were all falling off the wall on the other side. If Tormund and Beric and Gendry, if Gendry's still at the wall, I don't know. I can't see how they would survive that. And if they're not going to survive it, why didn't we see them die, considering we've almost seen Tormund die several times? So that was a little bit disappointing. Or is it massive plot armor and he's able to fall 700, 800 feet off a wall and still survive? Or maybe the Army of the Dead don't even go anywhere near the Night's Watch and they just basically ignore them and walk straight past them, because that's not what they're there for. They're not there to fight with the Night's Watch. They're there to get through the wall and into Westeros. So maybe Tormund could be stood right there and they just walk past him. But still, you know, anyone surviving something like that where he was, I don't quite understand it. But I liked seeing the visuals. I thought Viserion looked tiny compared to the wall, so you could see that he was never going to be total destruction. I kind of liked the blue electric ice fire kind of thing, but it wasn't perfect. But they got that shot that they wanted at the very end. So yeah, that's all I would say really. In terms of the books, I think it's going to be completely different, and I think there's going to be a lot more to do with magic. In the books, you've got Val, the wildling princess, at the wall. You've also still got Mel at the wall. You know, there's probably a lot more. I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think it will come down in the books, but I don't think it'll happen that way. I think it'll be not the Night's King or not the others or the White Walkers that bring the wall down. I think it'll be something completely different relating to magic. But yeah, that's me. I'm gonna have to nip to the toilet, but that's me done for the wall. I'll be back in a minute.
Lisa, how about you with the wall?
Before we talk about the wall, I just wanted to mention on that scene with Jamie leaving King's Landing.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
No, it's fine. With that when the snow started falling and they were playing the theme song just very, very slowly, it was very well done and just eerie. Just to see the snow falling on King's Landing, I thought it was beautifully shot. I really, really liked that scene. And going up to the wall, I really hope Tormund's not dead, but it doesn't look good. I really, you know, Tormund's one of my favorite characters, again, because he's one of the comic relief characters, and I like those characters. But I still wanted him to make his giant babies with Brienne. That was one thing that I really was going to hope was going to happen, but I don't think that's going to happen. There's no way he could have survived that. I'm wondering if we do see him next season, do we see him as a white, possibly? We haven't seen anybody that we know as a white yet.
That would be cool. Do you think we'll see Hodor?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, that's very good. That's a very good possibility as well, because I think Hodor, Winterfell, wouldn't that be heartbreaking?
Yeah.
That would just be heartbreaking. So
not holding a door, but going through it.
Not holding a door, but yeah, going through it. So I don't know. That's maybe one of my predictions for next season is we see Tormund as a white.
I think that's a great idea because they shouldn't survive that.
No, there's no way. Logistically, there's no way they could have survived it.
And Beric did say he'd see the Hound again, but he didn't say how. Although, can Beric, if he's kind of a fire white, can he be an ice white too? Do you know what I mean?
I don't know about.
I don't know why. I don't know how much they'll go into that in the show, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know.
I agree with Claire. Visually, it was absolutely beautiful. It was stunning. The white, the electric blue flame going through and just cutting right through, and it was visually absolutely beautifully shot and very, very well done. It was shocking to actually see it come down after it's been so strong and protected Westeros for so long, just to see it actually fall. I know we predicted it was going to happen at the end of the season, but it was still very, very shocking to actually see it fall.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. Well, we have some good comments in the chat. Meridian said that apparently the whites make the shape of a Stark wolf outline. That sounds interesting.
I saw that theory too. I saw that picture where it
that.
kind of does look when they look down, it does look like a Stark wolf. I think it's probably more coincidence than anything else.
Yeah, is that like when people were trying to see a wolf when in Jon's blood?
Oh, you mean the dragon?
Or the? Oh, I thought it was a wolf.
I thought it was a dragon.
Oh, maybe it was both.
Possibly. People trying to do the R+L equals J back then too, right? So
May also says that she wonders how, now that Gilly's baby is at the wall, that does line up with the books now, right? That baby is now back in the north, so there may be something to that for sure. And Meridian says that on the HBO site, Tormund and Beric have apparently survived. That's what it says. But does that mean they're whites? Or yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look like they're stopping to make whites or anything. It just looks like they're marching on through. I'm a bit confused about the magic there, because I don't know why I'm even bringing this up, because it obviously doesn't make any sense. So the wall needs to come down for the magic spell to be broken. That just a section of it. Like, so if you're going through a door and you just say Abra and part of the door opens, you can slide your way through. Is that what it is? Like, you don't need the whole magic key then. It's just that part. I'm not sure. I'm with you, Claire. I don't think it's going to happen like that in the books. Not that it matters. This is the TV show. It's separate. We're already there with that. Jamie leaving was beautiful, and as Marco pointed out, he looks like a sellsword at the end, and I did say that earlier on as well. I do like the way they dressed him down. The only thing that's noticeable about him is his very nice etched gold hand, which I know he's covering it up so nobody recognizes him, but I like the fact that, you know, it comes full circle with that conversation with Bronn. You know, he's not going to fight for his cock anymore. He's not fighting for Cersei, basically, and he's not fighting for gold anymore. It's more important than that. And as Marco says, he wants to leave a legacy. You know, he wants his pages of that book filled out, and that's certainly true. I don't know how he's going to do that. I don't know if Dany is going to accept him. Also, this is HBO. HBO make great TV shows. So leaving the books aside, there needs to be a payoff for Bran getting pushed out of a window in the first episode of the first season. There has to be a payoff for that. They can't just leave that. There has to be something where Bran confronts Jaime, or that becomes a key role in deciding his fate, in deciding Jaime's fate. That can't be left unattended or unaddressed or unresolved. It has to be resolved.
So. However, Bran isn't Bran anymore. He seems to have just kind of like, he's ascended to this different.
But has he? Because, okay, he's not fully Bloodraven yet, because he still needs somebody to show him where to go. The Bloodraven that taught him, that coached him, knew where to look. He knew to bring Bran to the yard where they were doing the training. He knew to bring him to the Tower of Joy. He knew where to look. Bran still doesn't know where to look. And I said this before, I think Bran is still in there. I think Bran is still holding him back. And I think that's why he can't penetrate the Night's King. yet. So I think there is still a Bran in there, and maybe unless he fully faces that fall, it's like facing your fears. Unless he fully like embraces what put him in that position, I don't think he can give himself over to being Bloodraven, because there is a part in the books where he's having these visions of falling, and he's trying to see who pushed him, and he's told, no, you don't need to know that yet. You don't need to know that information yet. So maybe confronting Jamie is the key to him letting go of his past and stop repressing that memory. I don't know. I could be wrong, and again, I could be giving them too much credit. But I feel like that can't go unresolved. Nobody knows Jamie did that, right? Apart from Cersei. So Jamie knows he did it, but I don't know. I feel like that would be like no one is going to buy that if he shows up at Winterfell and that doesn't come out. I don't think anyone's going to buy that. I liked the wall scene. It was okay. I like the fact that Tormund said run, because yeah, that's what you have to do. I don't know if they'll attack Eastwatch in the books. I think they'll attack Castle Black. We've only seen Ed and the Night's Watch in the first episode, right? When they bring Bran through the wall. We haven't seen them since then. That's a bit sad, I think. And I still hold true to what I said. I think it would have been much better if they didn't show us the resurrection of the dragon in the previous episode. It would have been a much better payoff this episode to see the dragon attack the wall. And then we wouldn't have Chain Gate. But yeah. So is there anything else, guys, that you want to add? No? So what would you do? You want to do Q&A or predictions for season 8, or?
I think there's a few things that have been set in motion in this episode that'll set up storylines for the next season. Obviously, what's going to happen with Jon once he finds out, what's going to happen immediately, the immediate danger of the dead have now broken into Westeros. So I hope that it's not just going to be 6 episodes of just battling constantly and every episode losing key characters till there's not really much. I've got no idea how they're going to end it on the TV show at all. I really don't know what they're going to do. They've got 6 episodes left, and I'm clueless about where they're going to take it. Do
you think the last battle will be with the White Walkers, or will the last battle be in the south with Lannister forces or whatever? Or do you think they'll be fighting on 2 fronts? Like I don't know where it's going really. Like with the Golden Company coming in, it's a bit of a. It's interesting that they're bringing the Golden Company in at this. They must have a reason for needing the Golden Company to come back into it at this stage.
I think it's to do with dragons. I think Varys might have a part to play. I think that they will ultimately turn their cloaks and betray Cersei. So somebody bloody betrays Cersei finally. I think there's a lot more to see with Tyrion and where his allegiances really lie. If he's talking about not wanting to destroy the family name or betray the family, what's going to happen when he sees, new and improved sellsword hedge knight Jamie arrive and say, "Woo, I'm here. I've made a promise. I might." It's funny because some of these leaks that have come out, although it's like somebody's written it, obviously there are certain things that are like, that what they were saying in one of these leaks was that as Jamie's going up north, he picks up Lannister forces from River Run, and but I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's just going to be like a lone.
It would be nice if he got to Edmure though. That's actually something I didn't think of. Yeah. Because I would love to see him back. I love that actor. I love that character, and I'd love to see that back. That would be
well.
Great.
We don't really know what's happened, do we, at River Run with Edmure, but I don't know.
That's a storyline they could very easily abandon, but
and also
that might be
there's a power vacuum in that area because of Arya and the phrase.
Yeah.
So you know, I don't know. Or would he turn up at Winterfell and say, "I'm here. You know, I've only got one hand, but I'll do my best. I you know, I'm a true knight, and I want to be, you know, on what I know what my purpose is and who I want to fight for." It could be that Tyrion flops back again, and you know, flip-flops and several times. I mean, he's got a good relationship with Jaime. So who knows? Maybe they will ally themselves against Cersei. I think she's just hoping for, her plan is everyone's going to kill themselves up north, and whatever I'm left with, I'll be the queen of.
I still think there's a bit of hope for Tyrion because him and Jaime were so friendly. Like, why did Jaime suddenly just flip on a dime like that, or spin on, what's the phrase? Anyway, why did he just do that? I still think there's a bit of hope there. But, you know, knowing the way they've played with time this season, Jaime's probably already on that boat while Jon is in his underwear cooking Dany breakfast. So he's probably already made it that far. Meridian says that Jorah was with the Golden Company. She thinks that he'll steal them from Cersei. Maybe. Did they mention that in the show?
I mean, I don't know actually.
I don't know
if they mentioned that in the show. I'm not sure.
They did, because I didn't know anything about the Golden Company until you guys were talking about the Golden Company.
So yeah, because Daario is with the Second Sons, right? So everybody's saying Daario's going to come back with the Golden Company, but I don't see how that's going to happen. I think Daario's gone. I don't think we're going to get Daario.
Well, that will cause some, like, you know.
By the way, I think Essos is gone. Like, I think like the Golden Company are the last remnants of Essos in the show. They have 6 episodes. They can't introduce any more characters.
They may give like a few minutes history on the Golden Company and who that, you know, we might get to meet whoever's in charge of the Golden Company. But it could be that as soon as they see a dragon, which is exactly what Cersei wants them to destroy, that's where they'll just be like, right, okay, we're on the side of the, you know, there are dragons. We're not going to be destroying any dragons. And that's where they may switch sides.
Yeah, I'm still a bit confused about Euron and how that's all going to work as well. I'm not. Oh yeah, that's something I was going to ask you. Theon, I presume, was heading straight away to the Iron Islands, so he'll be there before they realise that Euron isn't going to the Iron Islands. So will he take the Iron Islands while Euron is away?
I don't think he doesn't. He keeps saying, doesn't he? It's not for me. It's for Yara. He wants, you know, he
in Yara's name, though. Do you think he'll take it? Because he's expecting to find Euron there, but he won't be there.
I think he'll take it if Yara dies, and I think Yara will be with Euron on whatever adventure he's on. I don't think she's going to be stuck with Euron.
Or he might trade himself for Yara. That's it.
Yeah.
Or they may never revisit Theon again.
Maybe.
I don't know. I'm not sure. How long do you think it'll be before Dany and Jon know what Jaime knows? Like that's another thing that feeds into the theory, the Tyrion Cersei potential conspiracy, because she's okay with Jaime going, presumably because she maybe knows that Tyrion will talk around that, around whatever information Jaime's going to deliver. I still don't understand how she's okay with Jaime leaving, knowing what he knows.
Yeah, that basically there is no truce. She's not. Yeah.
No.
Well, that again just leads more weight to me that Tyrion has betrayed Daenerys.
Yeah, definitely. Or that Jaime and Tyrion want her to think that he's betraying Dany. That's the other thing. Because all that talk of Cersei saying that, you know, you commit treason, maybe he has actually committed treason. So
there's a couple of questions in the comments. Meridian and Margaret are asking about a reread project, and Catherine, I know that you mentioned that before, so maybe you could say something about what the plans are.
So
And also Macy is saying that Euron said he wanted to marry the most beautiful woman. Do you think he would be more enamored with Dany than Cersei and betray Cersei? I think that's a possibility. I mean, he did walk up to Daenerys and say, you know, I'm going back to my island. I suggest you go back to yours, because he knows the whites can't swim. So as long as you're on an island, you know, you'll be the only ones left at the end. So it'd be like, you know, maybe. Yeah. I mean, I think Euron's just looking at what's in it for him, and whoever the queen of the, you know, whoever the queen is that he can manipulate, and he would then be the king of everything rather than just king of the Iron Islands.
So I have a dark theory with Euron. I may have mentioned it before. I think once he realizes that Jaime has impregnated Cersei, I think he will try to impregnate Yara. I think that's the next heir to the Iron Islands. I think he'll try and get Yara pregnant. I think Yara is going to take the place of a character in the book, and I think he'll try that. Or I think there's something Euron. And by the way, the actor is full of shit. He came out this year to say, "Oh, this is Euron's season. Euron goes crazy this season." Yeah, right. We had that great scene where they invaded the boat, and he had some nice quips. But come on, he didn't go crazy. Yes, there will be a reread. I'm going to start a reread on my channel. So it'll have to be a weekly reread just to get through it. But I don't want to hold you guys to a weekly reread, because that's a lot. And also, I kind of want to keep it as short as possible. So if you want to drop in whenever you can, that'd be great. I'm hoping Saturdays. So what I'm going to do is on the 15th of September, I'm going to launch it and give you a full schedule for chapter breakdown and stuff like that. So by the 15th of September, hopefully everybody will have their books uploaded, or their audio books or whatever. So that's the plan, to begin reading maybe the last week of September, or begin analyzing the last week of September. That's kind of where I am at the moment. So Saturdays for sure. So I was thinking kind of a mix of live, a mix of pre-recorded. So yeah. So if you ladies want to drop in whenever you're around, or...
And we're talking about the book series, but also we were having a chat with Lisa as well about some of the novellas and
so if you want to make that house polish thing to do the prequel stuff, maybe, because that's quite dense, I feel, with the history.
So I don't know. What do you think, Lisa?
How much reading are we talking about here?
So if you want to start with House Polished, if you want to start small with the Hedge Knight series, something like that.
Okay.
So or we can do another TV show. I mean, I'm open to whatever you want to do.
I'm definitely going to be rereading the books, because I want to do that before the next book is released, just so that I've got everything fresh and it's book specific, rather than getting anything muddled up with a TV show.
So I mentioned it on my stream earlier on, but for those of you that aren't polish addicts that didn't tune into that, my aim is to do between 5 and 7 chapters a week, and to concentrate mainly on the key theory from every chapter, where that chapter fits into the big picture, a Q&A, and then at the end of every video or every stream, do a spoiler thing, so that if you don't want spoilers for the books, you can tune out. And I'm kind of doing book only.
Yeah.
Just exclude the show completely, because we're just going to stick with book canon. So yeah, so that's just do like a kind of try and keep it as concise as possible, not do summaries for every chapter, kind of like what we've been doing here, not do like rehashing everything that happened in the chapter because people will have read it, but maybe like a key theory, something like that. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm happy for you guys to join in with that, but it's going to be pretty full on doing like committing to 5 to 7 chapters a week. I hope I can do it. So my aim is to get Game of Thrones finished by this Christmas, to get Clash finished by March, Feast finished by, I know this sounds like it's ages for one book, but you will be kept up going just doing that, to be honest, I think, right, Claire? Just on that timeline, I'm probably being ambitious.
Yeah.
But get Feast done by the summer, and hopefully this time next year Beyond Dance. Feast by the end of next summer, Feast by the end of August. I forgot to mention Storm of Swords. Storm between April and probably July. Storm is big. And then Feast, hopefully get through Feast by September, and then back into Dance. That's very ambitious. But if we're going to beat Winds of Winter coming out, that's the way we'll have to do it, I'm thinking.
Yeah. I think it's doable. I mean, again, it's different people's reading experiences, but once I start reading the books, it's just like a spin cycle. I devour them. You know, I read a couple of chapters before I go to sleep at night. So like every night, once I'm in the middle of reading them, I'm consumed by it. So I can go through them quite quickly.
Yeah,
so
I just like, for me, it's just that I've had so many questions about people needing that would like a breakdown of it as I go through it. So that's the way, like, you know, it took me 90 minutes to get through the first 3 letters of Frankenstein today with my class. I hope to move faster than that with Game of Thrones. That's my aim, to do 5 to 7 chapters. So Claire, if you want to drop in or in with me or whenever you want,
definitely.
But yeah, I don't want to force a house polish thing on it, because it's a lot to commit to.
It is a lot, especially when with the kids, and
of course,
you guys know I have other stuff that's cooking too.
Yes, yeah.
That things will be announced soon, hopefully. So I got lots of things going on this end, so I don't know if I can commit.
And you ordered Longclaw as well, right?
Exactly. I'm gonna be gone till Christmas.
Yeah, so I'd love to do something else though with House Polished. That would be brilliant.
Yeah. Another TV show or something like that would be great.
We were talking about The Handmaid's Tale or Westworld or something like that.
Yeah.
Outlander. What's the one that George R.R. Martin is talking about? The Last Kingdom or something like that. What's it called? It's got like amazing reviews.
Oh really?
Yeah.
What channel is it on?
I think it's BBC.
Oh, I don't even know if I can get it then.
Anyway, we can talk about that in our messages. But so folks, there will be a reread coming. So tune into my channel on the 15th of September and I will fill you in on the schedule for it. I will definitely do up some sort of document or something that I'll link in the video then, and to begin reading, to begin analyzing, hopefully in the 2nd to last week of September. That's my plan. So thank you very much, Lisa and Claire, and thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat. That's it. No more Game of Thrones for potentially 2 years at the very earliest. Autumn 2018. I think you should try and hope for spring 2019.
Yeah, I think that's probably off.
They don't start recording
more realistic,
and they can't record outside of winter. So I think yeah, I think keep your hopes low. Hopefully a Winds of Winter book before Game of Thrones. Although maybe not. Maybe I want Game of Thrones to be finished before Winds of Winter. I don't know. Anyway, thank you so much, ladies, and thanks to everybody in the chat. We'll talk to you all again very, very soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, guys.